The ocean spirit dances today to abundance and joy and to eternal peace.
See, this is what we're hoping for. This is part of our hope. Not only that we are members of the elect, with fruits meet for repentance, like John the Baptist said, but from our lowest state, because we've been brought low, even though we have this knowledge, we have this truth. Remember what it said in Revelation. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Why are we rich? Because we're rich in faith. We have this knowledge. So our hope is at, and if you ask me, the greatest is delivered by Yahushua is to get that new body that the Apostle Paul spoke about in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, to get that, get that new body where we'll never be sick, we'll be immortals, like it said in 1 Corinthians 15, to be delivered from the coming destruction, and to be a part of Yahushua's cabinet in the next kingdom. Okay, those are the real riches right now. That's what we want to get. Because if you get that, you got everything. I mean, you got everything. Okay, so our sights are set a lot higher than this present world. All right, as it is written, the fashion of this world shall pass away. We are individuals of vision, and the scripture said, where an individual lacks vision, he perishes. Okay, so we can see the future. All right, and we hope that we're going to be part of it, beginning with the elect.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hope elect, pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakadash, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hope elect, the believers and listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right. And what I want to get into with this lesson is dealing with full circle. How the Lord has brought everything full circle, going all the way back, to Genesis until now. Okay. And what we're witnessing is full circle moment. Okay, where the Lord is getting ready to establish his sons, all right, as the rulers of the earth, beginning with Yahushua, okay, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So what we're going through in this last time, matter of fact, let's get this book of Second Esdras. Okay, this is full circle moment. We'll get that word, that meaning of that saying full circle. But when you go here real quick, let's get this with Second Esdras first. Let's get this with Second Esdras, and the Archangel Uriel told Esdras, something that was heavy. All right, and he put things in perspective, because as we know, all right, Esdras had the mindset of he wanted judgment to happen in his lifetime. He wanted the full circle moment during the time of the Persian Empire, but it wasn't that time. All right, and the angel, had to explain to him, that he was in the middle of a process. You see, there's things that have to play out before we get to that moment of full circle. Okay, going back to the disciples, all right, which became apostles, and they asked Yahushua, well, would I now restore the kingdom unto Israel? Well, it wasn't that time. We still had to go through a process. There was still some refining we had to go through before the Lord, will bring us to this full circle moment that we are now. Okay, because everything from the beginning, okay, is set up in this time. Now, this is the book of Second Esdras 4:33, and this is Esdras speaking to the Archangel Uriel, So then I answered, and he said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? So Ezra is complaining. You know, he wants kingdom for his people. He's tired of seeing his people in captivity. You know, being turned out by the heathens. You know, the heathens balling. You know, the Lord's chosen people. You know, subjugated to, you know, the unlawful heathen. You see, so he's complaining. A lot of Ezra's prophecies and complaining when you go into first and second Ezra, especially second Ezra. Okay, it says, and he answered me saying, "Do not thou hasten above the Most High, for thou haste in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded." So Ezra was trying to haste above the Most High. You see, he wanted the end to come about before everything will become full circle, because it wasn't all right at the time for the end. Now we in that time. Now we all right in what you call a full circle. You know, like I said, we'll get that definition. You keep reading. It said, did not the souls of the righteous ask questions of things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? You know, he's speaking of the kingdom. Okay. But guess what? We still had things to go through. We still had captivities to serve. Okay. Esau will have to come into power. Because I say right now, the Persians is in power. Okay. The Greeks and Romans, you know, will come out of the Persians, and then all right, the Roman Empire will fall, Western Rome will fall. Okay, but then it will have to come back, and we will have to come back and be born in it. Now we're in the full circle moment. You see, Ezra was a few empires too early. Okay, and it says, and until these things, Uriah the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is fulfilled in you, for he have weighed the world in a balance. You know, so there's a number of reincarnations, okay, that we will have to go through the process of being born into the earth. All right, going back to the spiritual realm, you know, death, you know, and coming back. Okay. And see, now we're in that last reincarnation. You see, now we're in that last reincarnation where this is our last time having to go through that process. You know, and there's even some, as how shall I say, there's some that won't see death. Why? They're just going to be translated from all right, mortal to immortal. Okay, 37. It says, by measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times, and he doth not stir nor move them until the said measure be fulfilled. Okay, so until the measure, all right, of the time, which the Lord has everything, you know, predestined. Okay, certain rulerships, all right, rulerships are predestined. Okay, certain men, certain prophets, certain. Okay, John the Baptist had to come back. All right, Elder Abba Bivens. These things had to happen. You see, the Lord already got everything measured. Esau's kingdom is measured. Okay, going to the Daniel the 5th chapter. All right, meaning to call a parson. All right, that kingdom is numbered, or something is numbered. That means what is measured. Okay, so everything is measured. There's a set number of reincarnations already measured. You see, so everything is measured in the heavens and it plays out in the earth. Okay, and we're coming to the time to where we're meeting our full measure. You know, when we're changed and perfected, it's going to be us coming to our full measure. And see, we in this last reincarnation, we are in the time, okay, where everything coming full circle. Okay, even real quick, let's go from there. All right, and it was all established from the beginning. You see, that's why let's go here to Genesis. You go to Genesis in the beginning. All right, let's deal with this. Genesis in the beginning. Okay, and now everything is coming back. Let's get this. Let's get the definition of full circle. And go back to Genesis. Okay, so let's go here. Full circle. All right, so when you go to full circle, the phrase full circle means returning to an original starting point, position, or condition after going through a long series of changes, events, or experiences. Most users on Quora agree that it describes a sense of completion or closure, often giving a person a new or wiser perspective, even though they are back where they began. Even though they are back where they began. So let's read this again. The phrase full circle means returning to an original starting point, position, or after going through a long series of changes. So from Genesis, the first chapter, from the fall of Adam, all the way until where we are today. All right, has just been a long series of changes and events for us as a people. All right, for the sons of God. Okay, for their lineage, man. You know, women and children included. Okay, of their lineage. You see, but we had a long series of changes, events, and experiences that we had to go through. Most users on Quora agree that it describes a sense of completion or closure, often giving a person a new or wiser perspective, even though they are back where they began. Okay? Because we began, all right, as rulers. You see, you going into the beginning, it's speaking of rulers, man. Okay, Adam was given a rulership. You see, King Solomon, he was born into a rulership. Adam fell, King Solomon fell, the sons of God fell, Genesis 6. But now, Yahweh Shai, when he came back as himself, he came back with a new and wiser perspective. You see? And when he comes back to establish the throne of David, he's going to be back in his position from the beginning. And Lord we'll join heirs, we're going to be back with him. And our positions from the beginning, except what? More refined, new, a wiser perspective. Okay? So we had to go through these series of changes, events, and experiences to get them to enable to become wiser, have a wiser perspective. Okay? To have a new perspective, a new outlook on everything, according to how the Lord wanted us to have. Okay? We went through that chasteness so we can be that finished product. Okay? So let's go from there. This is the book of Genesis 1:1. It says, in the beginning, the Most High, Shalaki, in the beginning, the Elohim, okay, created the heaven and earth. Okay, in the beginning, the Elohim created the heaven and earth. And let's prove that speaking of the Elohim. Okay, in the beginning, you see, this is the starting point. You see, now we're coming to the ending, that full circle. All right, now you go into this word. All right, God in the Hebrew, right? It's Elohim, okay? Allah means God, the Yom makes it plural. All right, so God's, all right? Because we're true sons of God. Esau's a goddamn fraud, phony, okay? And that's coming full circle, you see? So you go into it, says what? Rulers, judges, divine ones, and these are the sons of God, angels. God's with a lowercase, okay? You see that? So this is speaking of us, and this is the state we was in at the beginning. Okay? And the Lord is going to bring us back to this estate, rulers and judges, divine ones, angels who are going to be guys in the earth, man. They're going to be king and priest in the earth as gods, as divine ones. You see, having an extraterrestrial body. You see, having the glories of the celestial and the terrestrial, man. It's going to be full circle. Okay? So you go from there. Let's get this word beginning. You see, let's get this word beginning. which in Hebrew is Rasha, all right, Rashayah, okay, first beginning, first chief, choice part, okay. It says first in place, time, order or rank, the principal thing, okay. So Yahweh Shai and the Halahayim, okay, are going back to their order and their rank from the beginning. You see, Yahweh Shai asked for that. You know, when he was praying, what did Yahweh Shai ask for? St. John, let's get to St. John. So let's go here to the book of St. John. It's St. John 17. Start at 4. It says, this is Yahweh Shai praying to the Father, says, I have glorified thee on the earth. I have finished the work you gave me to do. And now, Father, all right, now, O Father, glorify thou me with thy own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was. The glory I had with thee before the world was. He was asking him, hey, glorify him. Okay. He wanted the state he was in before the world was. Okay. The angelic, okay, a being. You see, and he's bringing that to the earth. When he comes to our scripture, well, he's not going to meet there as a man. No, he's glorified to that state from the beginning. He's coming back as a God. You see, he came as a sacrifice, but he's coming back as a God. He's full. Yahweh Shai coming back full circle, baby. You see, and he's going to change us to have his glory, man, with those new bodies. We're going to be full circle when we change. Okay? We're going to be full circle, man. That's why we got to fight to get back, okay, to their glory. Yahweh Shai fought to get back to their glory. He earned that glory this time. We got to earn that glory, man. You see? So, going back, and Yahweh Shai would always say particular things. Even when we go here, let's go here to St. John. All right, go to St. John chapter 15 and verse 27. This St. John 15:27, it says, and ye shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. Now, they was with him from the beginning of his ministry, but then on another level, he's speaking to the same spirits, and he's speaking to the disciples that was there with him in the beginning, in Genesis beginning. Okay? They was a part of those first fruit spirits. You know? And the Lord has raised up a lot of those first fruit spirits in these last days to be on the forefront. Okay? Let's go here in the beginning, RK, right? So let's get it. It's this word RK. All right. RK says the beginning, the origin. Okay. Now, when you keep going down, it says the person, a thing that commences the first person of a thing in the series, the leader. Okay. The leader. You see, and those first fruit spirits were first spirits created. Yahweh Shai was brought forth by the Heavenly Father. Then Yahweh Shai brought forth the first fruit spirits. Okay. Anyway, we were before all this, man. You see, before the world was, it was okay. The Heavenly Father, he was always there. That's why he is. All right, his name is Yahweh. He exists. He's the be. He was always there. Okay. Then there was a time he brought forth Yahweh Shai. Okay. And Yahweh Shai brought what? The first fruits. Okay. So Yahweh Shai, the first fruits are the beginning. Okay. Beginning with Yahweh Shai, of course. Okay. It said that by which anything begins to be, the origin, the act of cause, and that's why brothers say that we are those first fruits, we're the progenitors of all right, Israel, man. Okay, we're the progenitors of our house. You see, it says the first place, principality, rule, magistrate, man. Okay, so he's speaking about what? Those that was there in the beginning. You see that says application order, time, place, or rank. The same definition, chief. The same definition. Okay, that was spoken of in Genesis in the beginning. Rashayah for beginning is the same word, is the same definition as RK, beginning in the Greek. So the definition for beginning in the Hebrew, which is Rashayah, okay, has the same definitions, similar definition to the Greek word for beginning, which is RK. Okay, so when you go here, let's get this in the book of this is the book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? All right. So Apostle Peter is asking, like, we forsaken all. And see, this is why, this is so serious unto us, man. This is deadly serious. Okay, because we're in a time to where we're going to be perfected, man. This is our top priority. Okay, to where anything and everything and everyone could be forsaken at any given moment to fulfill, okay, our office, man, to fulfill our life. To Yahushua, we're here to serve Yahushua. Brothers, we came back in this time to become full circle. Nothing else matters, man. Everything else, it is what it is, man. You might get to it, you might not. Oh well. Okay, when you're truly serving Yahushua, you're gonna have a lot of disfaction in this world. That's okay. Okay, brothers, that's okay. You see, we're not here, okay, to make the world comfortable. No, we're here to serve Yahushua. You see, so there's things that are forsaken in it, and it's on different levels. Some things cut off completely. Okay. Certain things become limited and restricted. You see, but it's all for us to serve Yahushua, follow Yahushua. It says, Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, which means they was going to have that chief rank. Going back to the beginning, those first fruits were going to have a rank even amongst the nation of Israel. Okay, because Israel is not going to need to be judged in the sense of, breaking the law, because they're going to be perfect. We're going to be perfect. Okay, but there's going to be a rank and order, all right, to where the first fruits are going to have authority and decision making. Okay, with Yahushua. You see? And it says, verse 29, it says, and everyone that forsake houses or brethren or sisters, or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. You see? We're coming to a time to now we're going to be able to be immortal. Everything is full circle. Because we're going back to the rank we had in the beginning. Okay, so we're going to be immortal. We're going to be refined. We're going to have, that new and wise perspective. Okay, we're not going to be the same sons of God from Genesis the 6th chapter. Yahushua is not who he was as Adam and King Solomon. No, he's refined now. He's perfected now. He's come full circle. Okay, and as we, all right, Lord, we're on our journey to become to that full circle. Okay, and that's when he's going to come conquer the heathen, okay, and change us, man. All right, verse 30 said, but many that are last shall be first. All right, yeah, but many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So let's get this word first. Because right now Esau is first. Okay. Going back, because now, just like in the garden, okay, what did the serpent want to do? He wanted to overthrow the sons of God. He wanted their rulership. Well, now he has it. Okay. Well, guess what? Adam is coming back, okay, to put down the serpent. Okay, to enslave the serpent. He's not going to play around. That's why when Yahushua came, as Yahushua, he didn't play around with Eve, man. Okay, the mission was way too serious, man. You see, he didn't play with the woman. He didn't play these little games with the woman. Okay, he was locked in to the assignment. The assignment was too serious, man. Okay. So let's go here to the word first. All right, which in Hebrew,
Strong's G 4413. Protos.
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 So when you go to protos, it's what first in time or place, the same definition. All right. First in rank, influence, honor, chief, principal. Okay. So we had to be last. Right now, we're last. Okay. But when Yahushua comes back, he's going to make us first. When he says, I'm going to give you power over the nation, that's him making us first. I'm going to make you kings and priests in the earth. That's him making us first. And that's full circle. You see, that's going to be, all right, the completion of that full circle. Okay. So right now, all right, as we know, like, look, we have to forsake. And there's no such thing as lose. We're going to get these things back, man. Okay. Ain't no loss in Yahushua, only gain. We on the come up. But we have to go through all these phases to become full circle. So we come to that full measure. As a matter of fact, I think that's in Colossians 2 and Ephesians. Look at this in Colossians. Apostle Paul spoke about this. Okay. This is on Colossians 2 and let's see. I think it's one of Ephesians. Put this in the book of Ephesians. Yep, it says Ephesians 4 and 12 said for perfecting. All right, matter of fact, verse 11. It says, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body, or for Messiah. Yeah, so he gave different brothers gifts in these last days for the perfecting of the saints, for bringing the saints, the believers, all right, the hopeful elect in these last days to perfection, to completion. Okay, which that completion is going to come through Yahushua. We're just going through the process. You know, we started that process with the teaching of his word. Okay, and as we teach and live this thing through faith, okay, we're being perfected. His word is perfecting us, which the word is what? The power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, it said for the edifying of the body of Yahushua. It says, till we all come into the unity of faith and the knowledge of the Son of the Most High, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Hamashiach. Okay? To the measure, remember that? The measure, he told Ezra, the Lord have measured the times, and he will not stir until that full measure is meet. So we, okay, have to meet a particular what measure. All right. See what it gives us. You go to the word measure in the Hebrew, I mean in the Greek, metron. Okay. It said the required measure, okay, the due, the fit, the measure, the rule or standard of judgment. The rule or standard of judgment, man. Okay? So we're being fit, we're being fitted to a particular measure. We have to come to a particular measure. All right. And then we're going to be changed. We're going to be perfected, completed. Okay. So we've been through all these changes as a nation of people, all these experiences. And the Lord, all right, was always working, okay, to make a remnant. All right, perfect. You know, to bring them full circle. That's why even when you go here, let's get this in Second Esdras. All these captivity, like Jay complained about the captivity, but they don't understand the process. And see, we have to think big picture. If you're small minded, you're gonna be offended. Okay, that's why Jake offended at captivities and well, why this and why we that and why they shooting us down and why this and that, why. You see, well, look at us and look at them, and you don't understand the big picture of what the Lord is doing. When you don't understand the big picture, it's easy to get offended, man. Okay, it's easy to become offended. All right, so let's let's get this. Yeah, this second Esdras. Get this second Esdras 9. All right, second Esdras 9. All right. This is second Esdras 9:20. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were coming to it. It was the times we in now. Okay, because we're coming through with that tribulation. But this is, this is the latest process of refining the tribulation. All right, and we're going to be in the midst of. Okay, where our faith is going to be tested to see if it's authentic. Okay, and I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of a cluster and a plant of a great people. Okay, and this is the elect that's going to be spared. Okay, it says to have kept me a grape of the cluster and a plant of a great people. Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain. All right, 2/3. It was born just to be judged, man. Okay, it says, and let thy grape be kept, the elect, and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. So everything, every experience, all these chains of events, okay, there was the Lord, okay, laboring and making a remnant perfect, bringing a remnant full circle to establish, all right, a righteous nation. Because through the remnant, the rest of the nation is going to come back in righteousness, man. Okay, so this thing what we're in is the Lord establishing and perfecting and elect. Okay, to bring the elect full circle, so He can bring everything full circle. We're going back to Genesis 1, but refined. The earth is going back to what? Paradise. Okay, Adam is going back to what? The King of Kings. You see, everything's coming back full circle. The Elohim, they was with Him from the beginning. They're going to be joint heirs. So He's bringing everything full circle, but refined, but perfected. Okay, we're going back to the beginning, but with a new perspective and another glory. Okay, so that's the point. Just wanted to tap in, Lord will, you brothers and you few sisters edify once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to each other brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the whole for the Shalom.